In the far future, as humans expanded everlastingly throughout the universe, they found a new world known as Vulkos-3, a vast world 4 times the size of the humans' homeworld. But they didn't come here to establish a colony. They came here to bring life. The humans rained down millions of plant species onto the planet's rocky surface, creating a light show in the sky like never seen before. To let these plant species flourish on this new planet, the humans built many machines to manage everything from atmospheric conditions all the way to the planet's gravitational pull. You may be wondering why humans are doing all this. Humans have dedicated the planet all to animals. Vulkos-3 and the many other planets surrounding it are natural reserves for the last remaining life forms on Earth, being a giant planet-sized sanctuary. Vulkos-3 is a community spec Evo project, allowing many people to work together to create concise and working ecosystems. During this project's beginning, people had the option to pick from any animals to be able to bring over to the planet. These are all the species that made their way over. Vulkos, a planet named for its extremely volcanic nature and inhospitable environment. It would seem unlikely at first that this planet would be deemed to be the host for the next stage of life. However, when humanity needed a host planet for the last few remaining non-human inhabitants of Earth, this is what they chose. Earth had been doomed due to humanity's actions as they pursued the stars, and because of this, humanity decided to cut ties completely with earthly nature. However, before they did so, they terraformed Vulkos into an Earth-like planet, perfect for the last remaining species on Earth to live free from humanity's suffocating grasp. Today, we'll be talking about the many bovid species of Vulkos. The burrow bison, one of many descendants of the European bison, which inhabits the continents of Finitoria and Sigante. Burrow bison are quite strange species, living in matriarchal societies of 6 related females and males being solitary for most of their lives. This is not that different on how elephants behave in our world, with the primary difference between the burrow bison and elephants is the extreme size difference, with burrow bison being the same size as a jackrabbit. These small bison species will build vast tunnel systems to escape would-be predators. These species, unlike its larger counterparts, will dig and spend most of their days underground until night, where they come out to feed in the darkness, having evolved a reduced hump and horns in order to be able to escape into burrows much easier than it would be for a normal bison, with them much preferring to run away than ever to fight a would-be predator. The bison species was made by a member in our Discord server named Michael. Thanks to him, we have these beautiful bison species to work with. When I was drawing this animal, I had to take into account the original design, which is what you see at the beginning of the speed paint. The hard part was figuring out how this animal would have the right hooves to dig while still sticking to the original design. The way I did this was by making them larger and more opposable. This would allow them to dig through much harder dirt, and even go as far as being able to tear and eat plants with their hands, as seen in the drawing. This design was a bit harder to work with such a different concept than normal bovids. I had to figure out how to think outside of the box when designing it. My thought process behind the coloring was that if these animals were being chased and hunted by a predator, they could quickly drop down to the ground and pretend to camouflage with the surrounding environment. They do this due to the much more sandy environment they live in. With their darker backs, it would allow them to look like rocks or just really dry terrain when they're on the ground. Overall, this was just an extremely fun species to draw. Next up is the dwarf takin. The only real difference between this species and regular takin is their size and what they eat. They're a lot smaller than the ones found in other parts of the world, and that's no accident. Over time, the lack of steady food in their environment forced them to shrink down to have smaller bodies, meant they didn't need as much to survive. Now, instead of browsing like larger takin species, these species will primarily eat tall grasses and low-to-the-ground plants. You'll often see them out in the wild, really just eating whatever they could find, almost being eaten constantly due to the lack of nutrients in their plants. This is similar to how koalas and sloths are on Earth, where due to their low nutrient diets, they have to constantly be eating and live a more slow lifestyle. The dwarf takin also live these same lifestyles where they're extremely slow, but have to also be constantly eating to be able to survive. These animals are strange descendants of the takin, which may look like cattle to you, but are more related to goats and sheep than anything. Them and the dwarf takin both contain oily coats to be able to be snow resistant and rain resistant. Similar to their larger counterparts, these dwarf takin would be able to climb extremely well and extremely efficiently. They would be able to climb up very steep cliff faces to be able to evade predators. More often than not, mesopredators will take these guys out though. They're quite easily able to be hunted due to these animals' very dumb nature and their quite slow speeds, not allowing them to escape to cliffs fast enough. Sadly for the dwarf takin, their future looks dim with the northern continents they live on are splitting and starting to freeze, slowly deteriorating any plant life that may be, and leaving many to starve at some point in the future. But for now, many herds of dwarf takin thrive in the northern continents, and will for millions of more years. The next animal up is the North Koryza takin. This animal has evolved in a land far colder and harsher than any other species on the planet has so far. Being the largest species on Koryza, it thrives where few dare to exist, taking a role much like a muskox in the very cold temperatures. Many animals have been known to freeze to death in these northern regions, with this animal being almost untouchable by any carnivores that dare to enter the region. These animals are able to withstand these cold temperatures by almost being like a living furnace. They do this by having a thicker frame with larger layers of fat. Their fur is also very cold resistant due to the takin's already rain and snow resistance, which allows them to not be as affected by the snow in the region that other animals would be. They roam in large herds in order to store in heat and not die of freezing, with massive snowstorms being a constant in the northern regions of Koryza. These animals will mostly feed on small shrub, tough mosses, and patches of grass within the snowy environment that grow across the frozen grounds of northern Koryza. They barely get enough to eat during the winter, but it's during the summer when they truly thrive. When all the snow melts, it causes a bloom of plants within the environment, allowing the animals to build up enough fat to store for the next winter to come. During the summer, they'll eat at hours at a time in order to allow them to store enough fat for winter. This will allow them to be able to survive with minimal food through shortages from the freezing weather. These animals are a tad stockier, being 5 feet tall, 8 feet long, and 500 pounds. This is around the same size as small muskox on Earth. With them both serving a similar niche, it would make sense for them to be very similar in body plan and behavior. This is a testament to show how well the takin are able to adapt on their new world. Next up is the Tyrathyr, the largest takin descendant to live. The Tyrathyr is the strangest descendant of the takin, now built for a completely different lifestyle than their ancestors. Instead of living in mountains like the takin of Earth, these animals would choose to live in forests to eat branches off trees. Having a build not that different from the Calicothyrs of prehistoric Earth. Instead of grazing on lowland plants, these animals will use their larger horns to be able to grasp and use a longer tongue to be able to pull branches off their larger horns. If it can't get branches off a tree, it will resort to pushing down trees, and it's not going to be gentle with it. It's going to try to push down any size tree, being seen to push down trees several times larger than itself. These animals are not social in the least. They are extremely solitary, aggressive animals, being highly territorial towards other Tyrathyr. The only time you see one of them together is during their mating season, where males will compete for the mating rights. by clashing with their large horns by pretty much just ramming into one another. Usually in these fights, it can cause a male takin to die. Due to how easily their horns break during these interspecies fights, it can lose pretty much their only way to eat. With there only being a handful of reported cases of a living Tyrathyr after one of these battles, only being able to survive when there's pretty much just a bunch of available food, and that's pure luck for them. The final species we're going to talk about, and by far the largest, is the Finnitorian bison. Having a large range in the southeastern regions of the supercontinent that they live on, these animals are far more larger and aggressive than their ancestors, being a staggering 9 feet at the hump, being almost the same size as some elephants of Earth. This allows them to pretty much fend off all predators, using their larger body size and now their even larger horns. This will pretty much make them unhuntable as adults, but this also leads to them being more solitary as adults due to them no longer being in herds due to the easier way to survive, being by far the largest bovine species in the era of diversification. If you want to see all the species made for Vulkos, or even suggest some of them for a future video, join the Discord where we could talk about anything from spec to dinosaurs. That's gonna be it, guys. Bye-bye.